Risky behavior.
The views and opinions expressed on this channel are solely those of the host and guest and are intended for entertainment and discussion purposes only. This channel does not promote bias, hatred, or discrimination of any kind. All questions posed and thoughts shared are part of a critical thinking exercise and are not meant to offend or judge any individual or group. We encourage respectful dialogue and love for all. Please remember to think critically and engage thoughtfully. We aim to foster a positive and inclusive community where everyone feels welcome. Thank you for being a part of Risky Behavior ENT.
Risky behavior.
Yo, what's up? What's up? How y'all doing? Welcome back. This is Risky Behavior ENT. Here, today I wanted to talk about a story. The reason I'm coming to you live real quick is I want to talk about the Alabama toddler who dies in a hot car while in state custody. This is a crazy story. I mean, what do we say? What do we do when the people that are in charge of protecting children, like this is their job, they come and get a kid who they say is in whatever situation they're in and they take charge. They're supposed to facilitate the safety of that child, and then the child dies in their care. It blew my mind when I seen this story. Anywho, I'm about to go ahead and jump into this. Remember, this is Risky Behavior ENT. If you like the content, feel free to subscribe. Like the content. Tell a friend to tell a friend, so I can keep bringing you more and more news stories and videos. And let me go ahead and break this news and get this pulled up. Okay. Not to be petty, but the filters on the news got this man head shamoo. Okay, that's the only time I'm going to joke during this whole time because it's a sad story.
This morning, we're learning more about a case involving a 3-year-old boy who died Tuesday after he was left in a hot car for hours. Now, this toddler was in the care of a contract employee with Alabama's Department of Human Resources, the state's Child Protective Services agency. CNN's Rafael Romo has more. Rafael?
Victor, the day the 3-year-old boy identified as Katorius Starks was allegedly left strapped inside the car was humid with temperatures ranging from 93 to 96 degrees during the 5 hours in the afternoon he was left alone. According to our own CNN meteorologists, those temperatures felt like 101 to 105 degrees with heat index values, not only considering the car the boy was in direct sunlight, as the family's attorney claims. According to officials and the family's attorney, a worker employed with a company contracted by the Alabama Department of Human Resources picked up the boy, who went by KJ, from daycare at 9 in the morning on Tuesday for a supervised visit with his father. The visit, they say, ended around 11:30 a.m. But instead of returning the boy to the daycare, the family's attorney says the contract worker made several personal errands with KJ buckled in a car seat in the back of her car. The attorney says the worker finally returned home by 12:30 p.m., parking her car and leaving the 3-year-old boy strapped inside the vehicle with all windows up and the car engine off. It was not until 5 hours later, Victor, around 5:30 in the afternoon, when the worker received a call from the daycare asking why the boy had not been returned, that she apparently realized what had happened. This, according to a timeline the attorney provided. 911 was called and KJ was pronounced dead at 6:03 p.m. This is how the boy's father told CNN affiliate WBTM he will remember his son.
Small, brilliant, bright little child. I'm talking about. When I say yeah, respectful. I'm talking about knew how to count, knew his colors. 3 years old. Knew all the animals. I'm talking about. He was very intelligent.
Yes, he was, bro. He was real nice and all that.
Like, he was just joyful.
I had an opportunity to speak with Courtney French, the family's attorney. He told me he spoke with the family about what they're going through right now, and they're understandably having a hard time coping with the loss of their child.
It's just hard to comprehend that you would leave a baby in a hot car and just have no recollection whatsoever that the baby's a 3-year-old child is trapped in your car. He died a brutal death.
CNN also obtained a statement from the Alabama Department of Human Resources. A child in DHR custody, the statement reads, was being transported by a contract provider when the incident occurred. Due to confidentiality, DHR cannot comment further regarding the identity of the child or the exact circumstances. According to Kids and Car Safety, an organization dedicated to raising awareness about the dangers of hot cars for children and pets, this is the first hot car death to occur in Alabama this year and the 16th nationwide. Victor, now back to you.
El Romo reporting for us there. Thank you.
How does the first
This morning,
car death in Alabama, that's insane. It is done by a person that's supposed to take care of the kid. Oh man, hold on, because he said the temperature was all right.
Identified as Katoria Starks, was allegedly left strapped inside the car, was humid with temperatures ranging from 93 to 96 degrees during the 5 hours in the afternoon he was left alone. According to our own CNN meteorologist, those temperatures felt like 101 to 105 degrees with heat.
That's a damn lie. That shit be feeling like 200 degrees. You know what, with the heat wave that everybody has been experiencing, and I remember being in my truck and I had to hurry up and go get that shit fixed because the AC went out. And even driving with the window down in the car moving, I remember sweat just pouring down my forehead, about to die. Anybody knows, man, look, you go to run errands, you in your car, you got the AC on, you feel good. You go to your destination and you like, let me run in here real quick to buy something. As soon as you hop out your car, you about to die before you make it across the parking lot to the door of whatever business you're going to. That's how hot it is. And for anybody to think you could just leave a kid sitting in a car, you just totally reckless. You just reckless. You just reckless. And TSK Royal, I am not reading that comment on this video, man. When I'm doing other videos and we joking around about stuff, I would, but I'm not gonna read that. Shout out to Fairgreen, Fayreen Arrow says, poor little fella, God bless his little heart. What's wrong with people? Some people are they're just sick and careless people. This lady didn't even care about her damn job. She wasn't even supposed to be stopping and doing no personal errands to have that kid in the car. She was not completing her job. Shout out to Dealing Roses says absolutely unacceptable. Shout out to Marlene says, OMG, this is so sad. Shout out to John R. People are sick. Yes, they are. They are. I'm telling you. Shout out to Randy Carano says, kids today, my parents left me locked in a hot car all the time. We made if stronger stuff then. I don't know. I don't think they just left us in the car like that. I remember that time being younger. Usually they would leave the keys in the car, especially you with your older sibling, y'all still listening to the radio and you got the AC going. Shout out to my brother, Mr. Marcus Banks in the biddy. Shout out to you, my brother. It's good to see you, man. How you doing? How you doing? I'm gonna go back over because I want to replay why she had the kid in the first place. But yeah, that's definitely too hot. Everybody knows it's hot. I challenge you right now, drive to a parking lot with your AC on, turn your car off, and you tell me how long you can sit there in that car. It ain't gonna be long. That's a torturing death, is what that is.
Index values, not only considering the car the boy was in direct sunlight, as the family's attorney claims. According to officials and the family's attorney, a worker employed with a company contracted by the Alabama Department of Human Resources picked up the boy who went by KJ from daycare at 9 in the morning on Tuesday for a supervised visit with his father.
Oh, see, that's what happened. She picked up the boy for a supervised visitation. Somebody should have been supervising her ass, though. Shout out to Panzer, says, never happened in my days. We had manual roll-up windows. That's another thing that you got to remember as well. You had manual roll-up windows. But yeah, pick the boy up 9 a.m. for supervised visitation. So the person you hired to keep your kids safe completely did not do their job. Because if the father is on supervised visitation, there's some sort of hesitance with him being alone with the child. So you hire somebody to say, well, look, we want it to be supervised. And the state says, well, yes, we will contract somebody to make sure your child is safe. And
visit, they say, ended around 11:30 a.m. But instead of returning the boy to the daycare, the family's attorney says the contract worker made several personal errands with KJ buckled in a car seat in the back of her car. The attorney says the worker finally returned home by 12:30 p.m., parking her car and leaving the 3-year-old boy strapped inside the vehicle with all windows up and the car engine off. It was not until 5 hours later, Victor, around 5:30 in the afternoon, when the worker received a call from the daycare asking why the boy had not been returned, that she apparently realized what had happened. This, according to a timeline the attorney provided. 911 was called and KJ was pronounced dead at 6:03 p.m. This is how the boy's father told CNN officials.
oh my God. This woman was hired for a job. Pick a little boy up, take him to see his father. Once he's done with his supervised visitation with his father, just bring him right back to the daycare. This woman takes the boy to go see his father, and on the way back says, hey, let me stop and do some errands. I'm gonna pick up a couple of things, maybe get a snack, drop off clothes, whatever. When she's done with her errands, I guess she forgot she was at work. And I know 3-year-olds can't be that quiet. Did the boy fall asleep or something? She just forgets. Goes home, parks her car. Ain't no way in hell. Hold on. When you get out your car, do you just get out your car, go in the house? When you get out your car, you open up your driver's door, right? Boom, you stepping out your car. You look back, right? She had to grab a purse. Make sure you got your keys. At some point, you ran errands, so maybe you had a bag or two. You would have to look back in your car. What the fuck was she doing? Driving a 3-row Suburban, and he was in the back 3rd row where you couldn't see him and just forget about him? What the hell? And then 5 hours later, what was she doing? 5 hours later, hey, what's up? What's up? I forget her name, but what's up, Tisha? What's up? What's up? How you doing? Yeah, you left here around 9:30 this morning. It's 5:30, and why you ain't brought the kid back? The mama's here to pick him up. Where you at? She had that Home Alone moment. Like, come on, man. This is ridiculous. And it needed probably be a more checks and balance system in place. I don't know how she got away with because if this is supervised visitation, right? She picks the boy up at 9. I'm pretty sure that the father is letting them know he's at the location for the supervised visitation. He would know that the young boy was en route. The same thing should be done where once visitation is over and done with, there should be a communication back to the school to say, well, hey, we're leaving visitation and we're taking the kid back to the daycare. I don't know how it took 5 hours for anybody to be to realize that something is wrong. That's too long of a period to me. That means there was no checks and balances, nothing at all. I'm telling you, that is crazy. What's up to the court? I don't know what you mean by that, bro. Shout out to Buffy Button says, unbelievable. She had to be high. She had to be high. I'm telling you. Them errands was her stopping to see the weed man or something. That is crazy. What's up, Ian? Are we talking about a 3-year-old left in a hot car by this social worker that was supposed to be taking the child to see their father for supervised visitation, and simply did not return the boy and went home, left him in the car, and they passed away. I'm telling you, this is crazy. Let's see. Teresa Herman says, oh, yeah, my sister and I were left in the car while my mom went in the bar. No keys, but we had fun with it. And a mother doesn't forget her child. You know what I'm starting to realize, Teresa? A lot of us were just lucky. I think that's what it is. I think a lot of us was lucky. Now that we have the news and we got social media and the internet, we're starting to see that a lot of kids left in these cars are faring well. As a matter of fact, I remember doing a bunch of news stories of moms and fathers, parents just getting in trouble because they were pulling up to casinos to go gamble and just leaving their children in the car, and people are calling the police on them. You know. Yeah. Shout out to Buffy. Yeah, Buffy kind of summed that up better than I did, Ian, right there. But yeah, man, a lot of them. And Buffy says she's going to be held accountable. Let's see. I got a article, so let me bring that up. Trying to see. Nah. Hopefully this shows up good in portrait mode. YouTube got this thing where they want everybody to do things in portrait mode. All right. Marcus says, yeah, risky. A lot of us were lucky. My mom used to leave me in the car when I was young also. Yeah, I think a lot of us that survived. Well, you know what? In a way, we would have to be the tough ones because we survived those heats and those temperatures. We would have to be like extremely, but we also survived those TV dinners. Like, let's be honest. With the hot ass brownie with the chocolate in it. It says here, contracted worker for Alabama DHR charged with leaving 3-year-old in hot car, resulting in his death. So yeah, Buffy, they charging her. It seems here that they did I'm gonna play that because it's like a press conference that they did. I'm gonna play that. I like to go into the articles sometimes though, because they say things sometimes that the news cannot include it. And so sometimes you get a little bit more context when you go into the article. All right. Shout out to P says I came here to show the love. Show they love for Donald Trump. Let's see. All right, let me get into this article. Yep. All right. It says here a contracted worker for Alabama's Department of Human Resources is charged with leaving a 3-year-old boy in a hot car in Birmingham, which resulted in his death. And this is her name. Keela Stanford is charged with being a person for hire responsible for a child under the age of 7 and leaving them unattended in a vehicle in a manner that creates an unreasonable risk of injury or harm, according to a release by District Attorney Danny Carr. Let's see here. She bonded out within hours of being arrested. If convicted, she could serve up to 20 years. I know some people probably going to have an issue with her also getting bond as well. I don't, but Rat Lord, that's a thing. I don't know how they do that. And that's the crazy part in the particulars when you talk about like the checks and balances, right? Because she picked that boy up at 9, and after supervised visitation, she went to run errands, and she just went home with the boy sitting in the back seat of her car, went inside the house, and then 5 hours later, the daycare called and asked where the child was because she never returned them. And so, are they a state employee? They keep saying contracted. So, is it like they work for the state, but they technically not a state personnel, right? Because then that goes into if they're contracted out, who's checking these people? Like, who's watching them? What's the checks in the balances? Like, Kim says, no, she's an independent contractor. And Rattler said, yeah, that's sketchy. State should be sued. Yeah, it's just all sketchy. Like, and you asked a good question because I was wondering the same thing. They keep saying contracted, and I'm like, through what? A company that gets a state contract? It's just crazy. She bonded out within hours of being arrested. If convicted, she could serve up to 20 years. This is a terrible tragedy that was completely avoidable and unnecessary, Carr said in a statement. Our condolences go out to the family. Oh my goodness. And Carr is attorney Danny Carr. That's the district attorney. A 3-year-old boy died in a hot car in Birmingham on July the 22nd, while in the care of a Department of Human Resources worker. So I don't know. I'm unsure of, because one minute they say contracted and then they use words like that. That makes me think they do work for the state. Katorius Starks Jr. of Bessemer was found in a hot car outside a home on Pine Tree Drive, according to the coroner. The child had been left alone in the car between 12:30 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. and was pronounced dead at 6 p.m. Oh my God. And you talking about like 12:30, 1, 2. You talking about when it is hot. And anybody from Alabama, live in Alabama, been through Alabama, is also, it ain't just hot, it's humid, it's torture. It says Tuesday was a first warning impact day with the heat index in the triple digits. And I'm pretty sure everybody had been getting those alerts on their phone. Even if you logged into Apple Maps or Google, you got a heat warning that said your travel time was affected. That's how hot things have been. That's how hot. Your travel time got affected by the heat. Oh man. Cam says she's like an Uber driver. Good luck suing the state. This clearly has happened before. Yeah, I don't know that they would be able to sue the state. I don't think they'll be able to sue the state either at all. Yeah. Jesus loves you. Shout out to Ryan. Shout out to Benjamin. Chase says, I'm pissed that she was bonded to start with. That baby is dead and it's all her fault. Throw her under the prison. Poor baby never had a chance at life. I'm so sorry, baby. The good Lord has you now. Yeah, I know a lot of people gonna be upset about her bonding. That's what's weird to me, man. Like, I be seeing other people struggle to get a bond. And then when I be doing these stories on children, it's crazy to me how many of them get to hurt children and they just get the bond out. They just get the bond. This is crazy. Shout out to Very True. We're talking about a 3-year-old that was left in a car by a DHR worker who was supposed to be transporting him from supervised visitation with the father and back to the daycare. She went home and didn't take him back to the daycare, left him in the car for 5 hours, and the child passed away. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Rat Lord and Kim. That's what I was saying. That's the hottest part of the damn day. 12:30 to, like, come on, the temperature about to turn up. Like, I don't know how careless do you gotta be? That's crazy. Ravage Awakening says, "Oh, the state is bone. I have so many questions. Was the child's parents' rights terminated? Were the other family members able to take the child? Was this contractor worker a foster parent?" No rights were taken away. The father had supervised visitation. And so because he has supervised visitation, I'm pretty sure the state it probably was a father trying to get rights or something like that. He was granted supervised visitation. The state facilitated it to where we'll have a DHR worker pick the child up from daycare, take them to see their father for supervised visitation, but they're supposed to bring them back to the daycare. And she just never brought him back to the daycare. Yeah. Yeah, she doesn't work at a bond, but Kim says she definitely doesn't deserve a bond, but since it's the South and he's a black boy, good luck. My feelings exactly. Shout out to Sassy. Shout out to Buffy Button says, I had to text my sister about when mom left us in the car rolled down the hill. Whoa, for real? That's crazy. I was in the, and this is why you can't leave kids. Thank you, Buffy, for saying that, because you reminded me. This is why you can't leave kids in a car, period, regardless if it's hot, raining, or cold, right? Because kids move around too much. My mom was telling me this, she told me this story, and I remember it in my head. My mom, I guess she must have had a manual, like a stick shift car at the time. I remember she had this little car, a little white car, and she said, and it was a stick shift manual. She pulls up to her friend's house to pick up something real quick. My mom literally she says she got out the car. Her friend was waiting for her outside, right? And we're on the driveway facing up. She says in that little bit of time of her getting out the car to go grab something from her homegirl, she says my little butt done found a way, get out of my seat, and I'm trying to get to her because she got out the car, and I must have hit the e-brake, which made the car roll down the driveway. Thankfully, she wasn't all the way up the driveway. She was at the bottom, so it wasn't a lot of momentum, and she was right there. So she just was able to run, jump in the driver's seat, hit the brake and stop the car. But she's like, I remember my mom always saying, like, kids get into anything quickly. You just can't leave them for too long. You just can't. Shout out Patricia says 82 degrees in Alabama today. Yeah, and you probably hot. She left this boy in the car, and the temperature was 90. What they said, 92, 91, 92. That's what I'm saying. Even 82 degrees, you hot. Especially us with technology. I can't take no heat. I love AC. I can't take none, won't tolerate none. I'm telling you. That's what's up. That's what's up. Shout out to Kim says, drop a like on the way in, people. It's free. Shout out. I appreciate everybody in the building. Thank you for being here with me. I'm gonna play. On the screen is Keela Stanford, and that is the woman that left the kid in the car for 5 hours. We don't know what Keela was doing. Keela says she went to go run errands, and she just simply forgot what she was hired to do. She was on the job, and Keela just had things. I think Keela went to get some drugs. That's just me. I don't know how you are on a job for supervised visitation, and you just go home and park your car and leave the kid in the back seat. I don't know. I agree with Buffy. Buffy said the woman had to be high. Shout out to Christo, says baby killers get bonded out. Meanwhile, moose are in prison for life for selling weed. Oh, you said most. Yeah, most are in prison for selling weed. Victimless crimes. Yeah. Damaris Jackson says, wasn't the kid crying, trying to get out from 12 midnight to 12:30 p.m.? No one. Oh, you mean 12 p.m.? Yeah. No one seen or heard his cries. This is so sad. Yeah. The kid would have to be crying, overheating and everything. Yep. That's crazy. I don't know, Buffy. Buffy says, did they test her for drugs or alcohol or something? I don't know. Hopefully they would. Because what's crazy about that, if you're a truck driver and you get into a little fender bender or any incident, they immediately send you down there to get drug tested. And that's because of the insurance company. But they definitely need to put things in places when you have people like this. And I'm pretty sure it would show up with her piss being dirty. Yeah, I don't know. This is crazy. Let me get more to this article. So this is Keela Stanford. Family told WVTM 13 that his foster care family drops him off at a daycare where a DH worker would pick him up for supervised visits with his family. Okay, so that goes back. Who asked me that question? And that's why I say I like to read these articles. They made it seem like so I guess he's not with his family at all. When you looking at the news, you think that he's with I don't remember who asked that question. Somebody asked that was he not with the family? So I guess he's not with the family at all. I assume he was with the mom and the father was just getting supervised visitation. So that answers that question. Wow. Marquand Bowie says she's a woman. For some reason, women get away with less charges. Okay. Well, I'm about to play this thing. Hurst on says a child in DHR custody was being transported by a contract provider when the incident occurred, a spokesperson for Alabama DHR said in the state. So I guess DHR hired a contract provider. It says that the provider has been terminated. The provider has terminated their employee due to confidentiality. DHR cannot comment further regarding the identity of the child or the exact circumstances. Okay. Video below, attorney says audio recording captures contracted DHR worker apologizing over 3-year-old's death. Let me see. What? I gotta listen to an ad. Oh my God. Buffy says you have to scroll back to read the whole story. I did. Did I skip over something? Let me see. I don't think I missed nothing, Buffy. Hold on. I don't think I skipped over anything. I know I got to go back up to listen to the to do that the press conference people talking. I'm trying to get past this ad. They said there's an audio of her apologizing for leaving the kid in the car. All right.
A hot car. We now have an
Okay.
day, a little boy died in a hot car. We now have an audio recording reportedly from the contracted DHR worker who's accused of leaving 3-year-old Katoria Starks Jr. in her car for hours. Thanks for joining us at 6. I'm Guy Rawlins.
And I'm Brittany Decker. The child's family, who hired an attorney, says the worker called to apologize. KJ, as he was known, was found dead last week after a visitation with his dad.
WVTM 13's Magdala Lusant spoke with the family's attorney today. Joins us now. What did you learn, Magdala?
So, Guy, I spoke with Courtney French, who is representing KJ's estate and the family, and he tells us, with permission from the family, he shared the recording with me and says it's the contract worker who has since been fired from Covenant Services. And I listened to this 3-minute clip from the call, though, in which she says that she forgot the little boy was in the back seat. Now, she has not been charged, she has not been identified, and we've chosen to disguise her voice. Katorius Starks Jr.'s family wants answers. The 3-year-old died in a hot car while in the care of a DHR contract worker. Courtney French represents the family.
And that's what we just can't understand. How did she not know? How did she not know from 9 o'clock in the morning until when she picked him up until 5:30 that this child was in the car? How do you not know?
French shared a recorded phone conversation with us. He says it's KJ's dad and aunt speaking with the Covenant Services contract worker who's since been fired. She hasn't been charged with a crime and has not been identified, so we are disguising her voice.
I got sidetracked and stopped off and got something to eat. And when I came out, instead of going to the left to the daycare because I got called and said I didn't have a case, I instantly said in my head, well, I'm done for the day and go home.
Oh, let's see. Marcus Banks says, man, Keela Stanford was trying to get high and completely forgot about the child. What's up, James? What's up, James, man? How you doing, brother? How you doing? So here she says, I got sidetracked. I stopped to get something to eat. And when I came out, that is still no excuse because you're not supposed to be stopping to get nothing to eat. You got a kid that's in your care. And it is like nobody cared about this kid at all. This kid already wasn't with their family in their foster care. And then this woman, instead of completing your mission is to get this child here safely and back safely. You ain't supposed to make no stops at all. I got sidetracked. I stopped to get something to eat. And when I came out, instead of going left to the daycare, I got a call that said I didn't have a case. And I instantly said in my head, well, I'm done for the day. I'm going home. Well, that still don't make no sense because if you got some food, maybe she ate it on the way home, but when you got home, you had to get your food out the car. You had to see that kid sitting in the car.
I instantly said in my head, well, I'm done for the day and go home. I'm truly. And so sorry is not even enough to express how bad I feel. I'm so sorry for your family. I'm so sorry for your family. That was not my intention. I promise you I wouldn't have done it to your son.
This baby died in a car. He suffocated. He didn't have no help, no nothing. You got the child safety lock on the doors. You didn't think to look in the back seat?
No, ma'am, I did not.
French says the little boy was in the hot car from 12:30 to 5:30.
On this day, on the 22nd of July, the heat index was about 100, between 108 and 109 degrees. That's outside of the car. KJ was 3 years old. He's verbal. In fact, he had the ability and knew how to unfasten the car seat. But what we discovered tragically is, although he could get out of the car seat, she had the child-proof locks on the car. There was no way for him to get out of the car and to open the door.
We went to the employee's house. No one came to the door. I also called her and left a voicemail. No response.
Is there a possibility that KJ could have been dead well before 5:30?
Well, so one of the other important pieces of evidence that we're waiting for is the coroner's final report. And so there will be an autopsy, or there has been an autopsy performed. And so part of the forensic pathologist's job is to actually to determine the cause of death, the manner of death, and the actual time of death.
So today I spoke with State Representative Patrick Sellers. He wants to see this contracting company, Covenant Services Incorporated, held accountable. He is saying he wants to see another level of oversight, accountability, and transparency. So here's a list of the things that he would like to see. In an urgent call to action is what he's calling it. Sellers wants to see an investigation into the third-party company's internal policies, safety protocol. He has plans to lead legislative efforts in the next session to create penalties for individual negligence and systemic lapses. He wants to see mandated rigorous vetting, safety training, and a requirement for real-time tracking and checkpoints with transporting children under DHR care.
Requiring real-time tracking of when there's transportation takes place, of GPS, check-in points, all of those kinds of things. If that would have been in place to where the transporter would have been able to check in or had to check in. So she transported the child from the daycare to see the father, the biological father. Then you're going to transport the child back to the daycare. So where's the checkpoint?
And I followed up with Birmingham police today to find out if they had any new update in this case. And they tell me they have no new information to share. Now, this week, KJ's family will be holding a candlelight vigil for him on Friday. And then on Saturday will be KJ's funeral. We're live in Birmingham. I'm Magdala Lusant, WVTM 13.
Oh man.
Well, good afternoon.
Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Hey, Buffy, what you were saying? I scrolled past something. I think we read all that. I'm going to play this video right here, though. We read all that. Yeah, contractor worker. She bonded out. 3-year-old was left in the car from 12:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. We did that. We got to this video. Right here it says the child's father said he's going to remember his son and was so proud of his intelligence. He knew his colors and loved to count, and that's the little boy. That's just heartbreaking. I don't even want to think about that last scene, being trapped in that car. A lot of the times, and because my wife works for the state, a lot of times they have to have child safety locks on. Sometimes you have kids that when they're picking them up or transporting them, they do jump out the car and try to run away. So it's not weird that she would have a child safety lock on her car door. It's just weird that she could get out the car and not see the kid. Marcus says it's very possible that the child could have already been dead. That's very possible. Buffy says dead. From what? Marcus, that is a good point. When we do those stories on kids, maybe because we do those stories on kids, sometimes you have people that do crimes, forget something happens, and they try to cover it up and pretend like they left the kid in the car. I've seen a couple of those stories before. Cause it just doesn't, I don't get it. I don't, like, seriously, I don't understand. I don't get it how you can go get food and then you're getting your, when you get home, especially when you're coming from work, you have things in your car. You have things in your car that you took with you that when you're getting out of your car and you're unpacking, you would have to see them. This is a 3-year-old. They make noise, or when they're bored, they bother you. Like, oh, Bubby says I don't see it. Maybe because it was so long, it deleted. Oh, you mean in the comment section, maybe? I'm I don't see it, but I'll look for it to see why, if they did. I'm I'm gonna see if somebody did an article on why he was in foster care in the first place. Yeah. And Marcus says we have to wait for the autopsy. Yeah, we'll have to wait for the autopsy to see if he died of heat. Yeah. All right.
All right, just let me know, guys, when you guys are ready.
We're waiting for CBS.
Okay.
I knew they didn't have no checks and balances because that news article, that's what they was talking about. They don't have any of those things in place. That woman was just driving around with this kid doing what she wanted to do.
Yeah, ready.
13's here. ABC's here. Bobby's here. I got 2 crews. 13.
Brian says, sad thing, he probably was sacrificed. State child care is shady and has been exposed before. Yeah, we know that. Yeah, very shady. Jibu Blue says they can't say we don't already have the technology. If they're working on tablets, make it attached to the tablet. They got to use every single day for work.
The estate of KJ Starks. Today's a bittersweet day for this family. As you may know, today, the worker who left KJ in the car on the day that he died, Keila Sanford, was arrested by the Birmingham Police Department. We were notified this morning, a little bit after 7 a.m., that she was in the custody of the Jefferson County Jail. And she has been charged under the Amaya White Act, which is an Alabama state statute specifically written to prevent a tragedy that occurred on July the 22nd when KJ passed away. We are extremely thankful to the community for the outpouring of support and love shown to this family. The mother and the father and the entire family, they're devastated by their son's death, and especially how he died, a very tragic and brutal death. On the day that he died, July the 22nd, the heat index was approximately 108 to 109 degrees on the outside. On the inside of the car, the temperatures reached a temperature in excess of 140 degrees, while KJ was locked inside of a car, parked inside of the worker's driveway.
You hear that? He was in the car, and for him, it was 140 degrees. She basically cooked him.
The family is extremely thankful and grateful to all of our elected officials who have stood up and said that there needs to be a dramatic change and overhaul to DHR, the Alabama Department of Human Resources. KJ, at the time that he died, was in the custody of DHR. And DHR is the Alabama state agency that's charged by statute with the protection, the safety, and the welfare of our children, our most vulnerable children. And in their custody is where KJ died. In the custody of the state agency that legally was supposed to protect him. Representative Patrick Sellers, along with many of his other colleagues, have been so supportive of this family and have discussed potential legislation to prevent this type of tragedy from ever happening again. This was preventable. This was something that should have never happened. And hopefully this is something that should never happen again. We have with us today KJ's aunt, Brittany Johnson, who has been the spokesperson for the family. The mother and the father, they have just not been able to even talk about this. They haven't slept since this happened. They haven't eaten since this happened. And Brittany has been the family member to kind of help them during this crisis and then during this time of grieving. So I like just to her to say any words, just to kind of talk about KJ and what type of child he was. And as you can see, she has, a shirt on about KJ. Tomorrow, he will be laid to rest. Is his funeral on tomorrow. This evening at 7:30, we'll do a candlelight vigil in honor of KJ and his life, and also a balloon release. Turn over to Brittany Johnson.
Oh, first, would just like to say my family and I are very, very grateful for the community and everyone that's showing love and support and standing in the fight for KJ. Thank you. We are very grateful for you. We would like to thank law enforcement for the quick arrest that was made today. But my family and I, we do still have a lot of questions, and we pray that this investigation be continued.
Yeah, and let me just kind of add to follow up about some of the questions that this family has. Following this tragedy, my office sent a letter to the Alabama Department of Human Resources, which has been now over a week ago. We have yet to hear from DHR, any representative of DHR, to apologize to this family, anybody on behalf of DHR. And, we have questions how this happened. We have questions about this company, Covenant Transportation and Covenant Services is the name of this company. And just some of the preliminary investigations that we received, and even calls from people throughout just not only this area, but across the state, who've had other complaints about this transportation services showing up with not having the proper cars. Law enforcement said when KJ died and they went to this lady's house, the worker, there was illegal tint that was on her car that was so dark that if you were standing next to the car, that you couldn't even see that KJ was in the back seat. How is it that a state agency, DHR, hires a transportation company to transport a baby around in a vehicle that has illegal tint? So even if someone did walk past the car, they would have never seen that KJ was inside the car.
That go back to what y'all was saying when y'all was like, was he screaming or doing anything while he was in the back seat because he was able to get out of the seat belt? That goes to that question. Nobody would have saw him because the tent was too dark. And Buffy, I found an article talking about why he was in foster care too.
He was old enough at 3 years old. The family members, they've told me that KJ was old enough to know how to even unbuckle the car seat.
Yes, very intelligent.
He was a smart kid. He knew how to fasten and unbuckle the car seat, but the worker had the child locks on the car. And so he was literally trapped in this hot car with extreme heat for more than 5 hours, from 12:30 until when someone called at 5:30 in the PM, 5:30 that evening, and said, why was KJ not returned back to daycare? And what we've already discovered through our investigation is when she left with a father who had his weekly visit with KJ, this worker, instead of taking KJ immediately back to his daycare where she picked him up at 9 o'clock that morning, she decided to run her own personal errands. She went to a restaurant. She went and stopped and took food home to her family and left KJ in the car while she dropped food off, left again, and went to a smoke shop or vape shop, tobacco shop, with the baby in the car. She rode around for over an hour from 11:30 to after 12:30 with KJ in the back seat, and drove back to her home, where she said she forgot that he was in the car. She had one job. She had one job to do, and that was to pick KJ up from the daycare and to take him back to where she picked him up. And DHR and these workers are responsible for this child's death. He should be here today. This should never happen, and this should never happen to another child. We're extremely thankful for State Representative Patrick Sellers for being.
Yo, what's up? USA Transparency says, does it matter why he was in foster care? The point is, people who were supposed to be protecting him locked him in a car and he died. Don't try to flip this on the parents. No. We're not flipping this on the parents. Especially, I'm not. You're not flipping on the parents, but people just want to know the full story. And it got brought up because I was wondering, I was like, so the father got visitations. And what makes that important too is I'm wondering, like, because I'm wondering, like, it didn't seem like anybody was checking in on this kid, right? I don't think 5 hours goes by if he was like, say he was with his mom and the father had supervised visitation. I don't see no mama waiting 5 hours to find out where her kid is. So I'm trying to figure out, why is this kid for 5 hours unaccounted for, and it don't seem like nobody was looking for him. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, USA. I don't think, I didn't take that no way what you were saying. People do that, so I understood completely why you were saying it. What you said, your comment, people do sometimes do that sometimes, so there's nothing wrong with you saying that, to be like, hey, let's not make sure, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, I understood why you were saying that, but I think we were just wondering, like, why 5 hours? It seemed like nobody was really worried about this kid, where they were at. You know, it's like, how could that happen? Malika Diamond says mistakes happen. I don't know, Diamond, not mistakes like this now. Not when you got one job to. I'm not sure. Yeah. I don't know if that's a big. People ain't just gonna say big awful mistake. This lady went, got food, stopped to see her family. It almost seems like she did it on purpose. Yep. Buffy says, why the daycare didn't call and check on the kid when she was like late. I mean, everybody failed. Yeah, everybody failed. Everybody failed. But you know what? I'm glad I was able to find that this child was in foster care. It makes a lot of sense, man. A lot of times these kids, man, people forget about them. People just forget about them. That, you know, and USA says, yeah, that's crazy. I never let that happen to my 4-year-old. And that's the thing, is like, I'm thinking like, it's a mom got custody, but it couldn't have been. And I'm glad Buffy asked me to look up the full story, because it wasn't making sense. I'm like, ain't no way. I don't think 5 hours goes by if a mom, ain't no way 5 hours doesn't go by when it comes to that. Because if you think about it, if that was a mom, right, and the father has supervised visitation, and that's how the state set it up, the mom is going to be calling the daycare, like, after the supervised visitation is over with, the mom going to be calling the daycare, like, yo, how did the supervised visitation go? Is he back at the excuse me, I apologize, my voice. Is he back at the daycare yet? She's gonna be checking in. Like, ain't no way 5 hours go by. Ain't no way.
Here, and we've asked, the family has asked for him to come and say some words as well.
Good evening. Just as today we learned about the arrest of such a tragic death of a 3-year-old KJ. While this development may bring a measure of accountability, it does not bring back the life of a precious child who was full of promise, joy, and innocence. Just as I am a father, a public servant, I am deeply heartbroken and outraged. KJ's life mattered. He deserved protection, he deserved care, and a future. What happened to him was preventable, and that truth should haunt us until real change occurs. The arrest of the transporter is a necessary step toward justice, but it must not be the only step. This tragedy has revealed glaring cracks in the system, cracks that cost a child his life, and we must ask the hard questions. How did this happen? on the watch of those entrusted with KJ's care? Where was the oversight? What protocols were broken, or worse, never existed? This is not just about one individual. It's about a system that failed us, that failed KJ. That is why I'm calling for even just a full investigation into the policies and practices of the Alabama Department of Human Resources. We must implement reforms that protect vulnerable children and ensure no family endures this pain ever again. This includes mandatory safety protocols for all child transporters, strict background checks and training for contractors, real-time tracking and verification, immediate audits of a child placement and transport agencies. Let us be clear. Accountability is not revenge. It is the responsibility, and responsibility must be shared by every level of the system that was supposed to protect KJ. This is not the end, it's just the beginning of a movement to protect our children and hold every agency, every contractor, every system accountable for KJ, for every child in Alabama. My heart goes out to this family, and we'll continue to push for correction, for healing, for oversight in dealing with not just KJ, but every single child that's in the care of our system.
And in addition to thanking Representative Sellers, I'd like to also thank on behalf of the family, Governor Ivey. Governor Ivey came out with a very strong statement this week calling KJ's death reprehensible and preventable and gross neglect. Think about that. DHR, who is supposed to protect children, being a part of a system that their own gross neglect and reprehensible conduct caused a child that was in their custody's death. This should never happen again. Again, but we thank you all for being here, and we'll take a few questions at this time. I will say before any questions, we are somewhat limited with talking about the ongoing investigation. We've had some limited discussions with the DA's office. We are still waiting to get the results of the toxicology, the blood work to see, when this worker went to, this tobacco shop, what did she buy? Was she on some sort of substance herself while she had KJ in her custody? So that will take some time just going through the forensic process, but we do want to honor that part of the investigation and allow law enforcement to conduct a full, complete, and thorough investigation.
Couple questions. I've heard conflicting stories. Was KJ found still strapped in his car seat, or had he gotten himself out and was in the general car?
No, so KJ was in the car when the call was made to the worker from the daycare, asking the worker why KJ. And so at the time, so the worker actually took KJ out of the car and to her home. And KJ was in her home, and they said to the worker, this is part of the investigation that we've received from law enforcement. The worker was throwing cold water on his face.
So he had not gotten out of his car.
He had not. He had not.
When you had mentioned earlier that she left, ran, some errands from 11:30 to 12:30, she did at that time. It's claiming she didn't know he was in the car then either.
No, she's claiming she did not know that he was still in the car once she returned to her home.
The final time, or
the final time, but she had just picked him up. We have a lot of questions. The story just doesn't make sense that you would have just picked up the child from daycare within less than an hour. And he's 3 years old. And the family said he's very active. He's very active. So it's not likely that KJ was asleep this entire time. Just
for 5 hours. No.
No. And throughout this entire 5-hour period from 12:30 to 5:30, for the worker not to even have some recollection that she had not taken KJ back to the daycare and he was still in the car. Those are the questions that we have.
Let me ask you, can you talk about a little bit more about the companies that get the transportation before they can even get a child in their car? Do they have to go through screening with background check, any type of social work training, just to be able to actually have a child that is already in DHR custody?
That's why we've reached out to DHR. We have not gotten a return call asking DHR to provide us with that documentation. With parents, if a child is going to be given over to the custody of a family member or a foster parent, DHR requires a very stringent home visit, site visit, to make sure that everything is proper and safe in your home. We would expect for them to have done the same thing with this company. But
I just want to say that I like this guy. I can tell by his body movement and the way he's talking, he really cares. I'm sure if he was in front of that lady, he slapped the dog shit out of her for what she did. Like, I can tell this dude, like, he is amped. Like, and I can only imagine what he's read so far in his research, that these people they have no business taking care of kids, transporting kids, watching kids, none.
we know now that wasn't done, because there's no way that KJ could have been riding in this car with illegal tint on it and allowed to be transported by this worker.
You talked about covenant services transportation. They've had other complaints. Do they just cover Birmingham, Jefferson County, or the entire state for DHR?
Again, we've asked for a copy of any agreements between DHR and Covenant Services. I know State Representative Sellers has also sent a letter to DHR and has not gotten a response yet.
Question for Brittany. A couple questions. First of all, just tell me what KJ's relationship was with you and his parents, because I know he's been in foster care since birth. How close is that relationship?
Yes. And I do want to correct one thing. He have not been in foster care since birth. But I personally have a great relationship with KJ, and KJ just was a child full of life. He enjoyed playing. He loved on you, you love on him. You know, he's very smart. He can sing his ABCs. He know all his numbers. You know, he make friends everywhere he goes. And with his relationship with his parents, he loved them the same. He enjoys seeing them. Yeah. And just like it's heartbreaking for the mom and the dad, because they're not going to see him again.
What kind of relationship did you have with the foster family also?
That, you know, DHR don't let us have a relationship with them, but they have reached out since this happened.
I mean, I'm sure they're heartbroken too, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
And then just talk a little bit about the vigil tonight. How you want KJ remembered?
Yes, ma'am. Just like the community, they already been showing up and supporting the family and I, and showing love for KJ. We want that to continue, and we want you to stand in the fight while this case is continuing to be investigated. Tonight, we're gonna speak only about KJ. We want you guys to know a little bit more insight about him. You know, what he liked, what he enjoyed. You'll get to come out and see kid-friendly environment. You know, what he should have still been able to embrace it in his childhood.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
So the question was, had KJ been transported? Yes.
Yes.
This worker, in fact, had transported KJ before. This was not a one-time visit. This was a weekly visit.
And she's the same worker.
And this is the same worker who would transport KJ every Tuesday for a visit with his family. So this is, you know, what happened on this day. Those are the questions that we have to find out. How did you forget when this is not something that was new to you? Again, you have one job.
Oh, so if she's the same worker, she must have got relaxed on the job. that's what happened. She got relaxed on the job. So I'm gonna go over here. This woman, she stopped and got food for herself. She went and dropped off food to her family. She going to the tobacco shop and everything. She got relaxed on the job and became unprofessional. And that's probably because she realized areas of weakness within the system that allowed her to be relaxed. These people not calling and checking up to make sure that I'm dropping this kid back off to the daycare. I got plenty of time. I'll get some eat, run about my mama house, see my cousins, stop over here at the tobacco shop, get my vape, chill. You know what I'm saying? And the system that they have. And so I think what they're doing as well is they're not just using this as a time to punish her, but they're also using this as a time to, hey, we need to get a better system going. Or things like this is going to happen because this woman was allowed to get relaxed in her position, in her job, and not taking it serious.
And you did this every week.
Brittany, I'm sure that you have a lot of memories with KJ, even in this short 3 years. What is the most favorite memory you have with your nephew?
Just recently, like in May, when he was visiting my home, we laid out the inflatables, the kid inflatable. He enjoyed the water, and you probably seen it on social media how much fun he was having. And he was telling me, "Auntie, I love this." I gave him pizza. I made his day that day, and unfortunately, that's the last day I saw my nephew.
If you could describe how you're feeling right now in one word, what would it be?
It hurts. It hurts bad. It hurts deeply because they fail him, and it makes me feel like we fail him as well.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Mr. French, State Representative Sellers, how can families in the state of Alabama trust DHR after this situation?
Okay.
And we're about to bury the
You know, I will say this. DHR is supposed to be the safety net. That net's broken.
Yeah, the net is broken. Buffy says, relax. No. High. She was high. I got my brother Marcus still here, man. Yeah, Mark, you know what's sad about this? If I'm that father and that mom, you took my kid away because you said my kid was not safe with me. How are you the one to say what child needs to be placed? And then things like this can happen. You got workers out here that's unregulated, but you're going to say they ain't safe with me. You know what I mean? They're a danger in my house, in my home, but then you get them and under your care. And that's the insane part, because that is actually your one job. Your one job is to make sure that child is safe and protected, and that, hey, if they're not safe here, then I put them over here. You don't put them in more danger because that's your one job. Shout out to Christopher Height, man. How you doing? How you doing? Marcus says she was taking care of her daily basic needs on state time and money. I guarantee you, she was using state to go shopping and eating and gas and other personal stuff. Oh, I'm pretty sure she was. Yeah, she found the holes in the system, the broken net. She's unregulated. She's out here picking up kids, and she's not even regulated at all. And this is the result of it. Shout out Buffy. She says, I'm not trying to judge the level of someone's pain or grieving process. What is up with this mother? Okay. Let me play the rest. I gotta get to the Lee Alley says, I drive adults to and from their doctor's appointments, and we are not allowed to drive a child without a guardian. Did she drive exclusively for the place where the child lived? Not Lee. She was supposed to be a DHR worker, and she was picking up the kid to do a supervised visitation. So that's probably why she would be allowed to. Buffy says she has no tears, no anger, just kind of mute. That could be her way of dealing. Yeah, that could. Yeah, you said, yeah, and that's the aunt. Yeah, that's the aunt, not the mom. But either way, whether it's the aunt, the mom, even if it's a foster care parent, um, you would still expect. So I see what you're saying. You ain't say nothing wrong. You still would expect something more. But you know what? Some people, she could have cried her eyes out the night before, and you could be seeing a person that's just, exhausted, kind of lost, kind of in shock, you know, and that could be what you're seeing. And that might be why the person is kind of like not, screaming over crying. Sometimes like I remember, like if you go to a funeral, sometimes people in the funeral are not, they're just kind of sitting there and you don't really see any emotion on them. But the night before, they probably were crying their eyes out in bed. And so by the time the next day comes and they're at the funeral, they're kind of exhausted. And so you might not see any reaction out of them. Yeah. So USA says, and it happened a week ago. There's only so much crying you can do before it starts to hurt. Yeah. So that's why I think it is. I think you cry to the point you can't cry no more, and then anybody seeing you after that, you probably look like a shell of yourself or no real reaction. But Buffy, to your point, I do be thinking that when I be looking at these news stories, sometimes people don't be reacting the way you think they should react, So I understand that. Yeah. Oh man, shout out to Buffy. My condolences. Sorry to hear that. You said your mom died from diabetes and you still cry about her. Yeah. I cry every now and then about my grandma. I do. When I think about my grandma, I do. I still do. It's been years and I still do.
And that's why Representative Sellers is here to look at how do you fix that system. We want our kids to be safe. No parent, no family member wants to be here talking about burying their 3-year-old child who died in the custody of DHR. And so whatever, and we're calling on all of our elected officials and our state legislators and the governor to help fix the system, whether it's funding, whether it's overworking or shortage of workers, whatever it needs to be done to protect our children. They deserve better. And we want to make sure, again, that this never happens again.
Is the state paying for the funeral?
No, the family had to pay for the funeral.
Yes.
We have not heard from DHR. No one has reached out to us from DHR. There was a phone call with the worker, the driver, to the father, trying to explain away. That's the only person who's reached out to the family, but no one on behalf of DHR. I think she could.
Again, though, the state's responsible for his care. So why are they not paying for the funeral?
I don't know.
What do you think that case? I know you all have a lawsuit, but what do you think that case that you all had to pay for them? They're not paying for the funeral.
To me, it shows the lack of accountability. That there was a statement that was put out by DHR saying that this company was a third-party vendor of DHR, that this worker did not work for them, essentially. But they're the ones that selected this company. Yes. KJ would not have been with this company, would not have been with this worker, but for the fact that he was in DHR's custody and they placed him with this company. He didn't have a choice.
Right.
The family didn't have a choice. Think about that. You don't have a choice, and then you get a call saying that your child has died in a car in the extreme Alabama heat in the summer. I mean, that's a nightmare.
If a family and child is already involved with DHR, that's already a hard time.
Yes.
Should the state be relying on third-party vendors to help carry out that work?
I think that's a policy question.
Yeah, that is a policy question. And that's one of those questions that we're asking. And we're also looking into what level of oversight that should have been or needs to be
Ongoing.
For DHR. Regardless of whether it's a third-party vendor, DHR is still liable and responsible. It's in every child is in the care of DHR.
No, just thank you and thank all of you guys for coming out and helping, spread the word to bring awareness of what happened to KJ and to help prevent it from happening to another child.
You know what? Because it's not DHR per se and another company that DHR got, I guess it seems like they hired outsourced to them to handle all, because they're probably behind on work, right? They should be able to sue that company then, right? That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Buffy says, oh, snap, she didn't even work for them. They were a company that was farmed out. Yeah, so they should be able to sue that company. The family should. Your Sarah says, he said the family did not have a choice. Didn't they have a choice that the kid not be took in the first place? I think he was speaking about the kid didn't have a choice, And, sad to say, man, look, sometimes people get sick, and when a child is in foster care, people get sick, people get addicted to drugs for a number of reasons. The singer Mario mother got into an accident, I believe, but she became a drug addict. Why? Because she was taking pain medication given to her from her doctor, and she became addicted, and people have to go to foster care. And if you're going to be the government, the state, the company, whatever that says, hey, this kid is in an unsafe environment, we're going to take them and take care of them until you can get back on your feet. You're going to have visitation, and we're going to facilitate this. That's their one job, and they dropped the ball, and because of that, you have a young child that is dead now. All right. Shout out to Marcus Banks, says exactly 100. Because this must have happened before. Buffy says, so this wasn't even a social worker. This was just some delivery service type service. Yeah, that's what it's seeming like. Yep. And so they need to attack this. They need to sue them, and they need to shut them down. That's what they need to do. Yeah. Shout out USA, says Cyrus, that's not even the point. Whatever the reason the kid was taken for isn't the point. The point is the kid died in DHR care. And Marcus says they can sue that company, but the company can file for bankruptcy real quick, and it's over just like that. Yeah, what, people like that, I'm sure. Sarah says, I'm sorry, my last comment was a little callous. Yeah, you know what? I don't think so, Sarah. Not necessarily. I mean, I can understand why you say that, because it's always natural when you see children in this position. Ultimately, everybody does have to take accountability, right? I can understand when people say, like, you know what? Because here's the thing: I'm sure the parents are beating themselves up. I'm sure they're at home beating themselves up. If I had not made this mistake, my child would have been with me. They never would have got taken in the first place, and they would still be alive today. So and like you said, something that ain't a natural thought. I think people are going to think that naturally, right? That's how we are, because people, like, we care, right? We see horrible crimes against kids, and we truly care, and it truly upsets us, and we begin to do what DHR should have did in the first place, which is, because you care about kids, and so when you see a kid passes away, you begin to check all the doors. What was the mama doing? What was the daddy doing? What was the social worker doing? Why didn't nobody call? You see what I'm saying? We start checking everything. So I think what you said was a natural thought. I just think that we disagree, but it ain't like you said something that's like, how did you, like, it's a natural thought to think that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a very natural thought to think. Like Gary Good says, unless your comment is wrong, don't say sorry. Exactly. It's a natural thought to think that. Very, very, very natural thought. As a matter of fact, I'm about to read this article because because we wanted to get the full story, because we was wondering why was a kid from 5:30, from 12:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., 5 hours, you have a kid that nobody seemed to call and check on, right? And so then because I thought the kid was with their mom and that the dad filed for visitation but got supervised visitations, and then we find out, well, no, he's in foster care. Well, hey, why is he in foster care? And it ain't to blame nobody, it's just that people like to know the full story. Buffy says sue DHR as an individual entity if possible, and so the delivery and sue the delivery service. I wonder, can you even sue DHR? That's the sad thing. It seems like these people be able to make mistakes, mess up, do whatever the hell they want to do, and it seems like as the public, you can't do anything to them. They seem to be almost untouchable. I wonder, could you sue them? Shout out to Sarah, says, I was just a little angry that the kid had to be taken to begin with. I spent a year in foster care when I was 5 years old and was abused. And see, Sarah, that's why you shouldn't apologize, because you're coming from real life experience, right? So it makes even more sense now. And I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. And thank you for being transparent and sharing that. And so I definitely understand why you took that approach and your perspective. I definitely understand. Buffy says, why aren't they trained for CPR? You know what, Buffy, when it comes to that lady, she could be making up stuff. Like she said, she got a phone call and they said she didn't have a case while a child is sitting in her back seat. You most definitely got a case that you haven't even closed out yet. So I don't know. And then what they said, oh, she poured cold water on his face. Like, I don't know. I'm gonna try to check back with this in the future and see what else comes out. But I don't know. Marcus Banks says, I don't think you can sue DHR because DHR put the responsibility on the outsource company. Yes, probably not. Shout out to the Takeoff podcast. Yo, what up? Oh man. And USA says it was probably too late for CPR. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. All right, let me get into this article. I'll see if it says anything else that wasn't said before. 3-year-old dies in hot car after DHR custody failure. I bet DHR wish that they could edit these articles and say, quit saying DHR and say the name of the other company, and they're hiding. They ain't gonna show their ugly face. They gonna, because I can't even recall it right now. I know when that guy was speaking in the press conference that he did mention the name of that company. I can't even think of it right now, but I don't even think it matters. I think the most of the accountability is going to be placed on the DHR, and I don't think they're going to be able to escape and say, "Oh, we hired another company to do it for us." I think rightfully so, they got to take responsibility for this, because you can't just hire people to watch over kids and take care of kids and transport them and not do the proper research behind it. Especially if you're the same person that can research households and say that these people can't have kids in their homes. How can we trust your judgment then? If I can't trust your judgment over here, sorry, I can't trust it over there. So here it says 3-year-old dies in hot car after DHR custody failure. It says a 3-year-old boy, Katorius Starks Jr., known as KJ, died Tuesday after being left in a hot car for approximately 5 hours while in the custody of Alabama's Department of Human Resources, DHR authorities said. Okay. The incident has sparked outrage in the ongoing police investigation, with the boy's family demanding accountability. KJ from Bessemer was in foster care due to alleged drug use in his home when a contractor for DHR employed by Covenant Services failed to deliver him to daycare for a supervised visit with his father. And so here we go. It's alleged drug use anyway. It's not even proven. And Covenant Services is the company that the woman worked for. There you go. So hopefully they sue Covenant Services and shut them down, because they don't need to work with kids no more at all. Yeah. Shout out to Jacob Hamilton, says you can sue DHR. I know somebody that has and won. Okay, cool. Yeah, I would have never guessed you could sue them. I thought they was like untouchable. Shout out to Waco, says just in the clouds, working and listening. Shout out to you. Thank you for coming through. Yep. Marcus says, yes, you can sue DHR. I was just saying, in this case, the way it was set up, DHR is going to try and wiggle their way out of it because they outsourced the responsibility to another company. What part did I read? Okay, I said KJ from Bessemer was in foster care due to alleged drug use in his home when a contractor for DHR employed by Covenant Services failed to deliver him to daycare after a supervised visit with his father. The family's attorney, G. Courtney French, said the worker picked up KJ around 11:30 a.m., but instead ran personal errands, including buying food and visiting a tobacco shop before parking at her home. This is a tragedy and a nightmare for a parent, French said, per the New York Times. The child remained strapped in the car from about 12:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. when the daycare center's calls prompted the worker to find him unresponsive. Birmingham police were dispatched to a Pine Tree Drive residence shortly after 5:30 p.m. and KJ was pronounced dead at 6:03 p.m. by Birmingham Fire and Rescue. It says Jefferson County Chief Deputy Coroner Bill Yates noted the car was off, windows up, and hot with no apparent cause of death, though an official ruling awaits. Temperatures in the area reached 96 degrees, feeling as high as 103 degrees with humidity, according to National Weather Services meteorologist Jessica Laws. The worker, who has not been named, removed KJ to an air-conditioned residence, but cooperated with police during questioning. DHR confirmed the contractor terminated the employee, but offered no further details due to confidentiality. French described the lapse as systemic failure. The safety net that should have been in place to protect KJ and others like him is what caused his death, he said, per People magazine. So the very system that is in place for his protection was the system that led to his death. And that's what's so tragic about this. The families, considering legal action, expressed their grief in a statement. This is a parent's worst nightmare. Our baby should be alive. So it seems like the family is thinking about suing. State lawmakers, including Senators Marika Coleman and Representative Ontario Tillman, have called for answers, with Coleman vowing, per the Times, we need answers, and we may need to examine state law to make sure this never happens again. Tillman echoed, how and why did this happen? The child's autopsy has been completed and his body has been released to his parents per county coroner's office. People magazine reported KJ's funeral is set for August 2nd. Yeah, that's him right there. Kids love them shark t-shirts, by the way. It's just sad. This is insane. So I've been doing this for a minute. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so USA says, why wasn't the dad calling and asking where his daughter was if there was supposed to be a visit, though? I think you meant the son. But USA, remember that they said this is the same woman that does it every single week. And I think there was, when it's the same person every week, people get relaxed. And she always dropped them back off at the daycare. So, and I think that's why when you're dealing with people, sometimes you got to fight that feeling of feeling like somebody and like, hey, this is the same person every week that drops them off. And you got to keep up that strict, like where you at when you drop them off. I think people just got relaxed. And shout out to Marcus says, I think the visitation probably took place in the morning. Yeah, I think that's what happened. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, because I was trying to figure out when was the visitation taking place. Most likely in the morning. And so really, they didn't call to check and see where she was at for more than 5 hours then, if they're starting with 11:30. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and play the overall YouTube real quick for people that came in at the end, and then later on, if you want to, you can rewatch this live and go into it. I do want to say that stories like this do make me look up websites like this. And I ain't trying to be, but I don't know. When people be doing things to kids, I just be looking up stuff. I'd be like, this YouTube, I ain't gonna say too much. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I ain't trying to be funny because it's a serious story, but I know I cannot be the only one noticing the filter that they put on this guy's bald head. I can't be the only one. Foolish says, you know, that's crazy because people can easily forget stuff, but sometimes it's fatal. Yeah. They've been getting on a lot of parents about that stuff. And you got to be careful because I seen a couple of cases where this father tried to pretend like he forgot his child in the car, but it seems like he did it on purpose. And so I think that's why they had to crack down on it, because it's essentially for parents who want to get rid of their children. It's an easy way for them to do it, to just leave their kid in the car and be like, oh, I forgot. And then they just get away with murder. And so they had to just start cracking down on that stuff. And I do believe you do have some people that forget, right? Because you might have a mom, a dad, any parent working hard, working full time, pick their kid up from daycare, drive all the way home, and they're so tired that they kind of, they just walk in the house. They don't grab, and they just like, oh shit, and forget that they left the kid, sitting in the car, So people can make those mistakes and stuff like that. With this woman, it's just a little bit different. She was doing too much. She made too many stops with that kid in the car, and that is her one job. It's like if you deliver for Amazon, you do not forget to deliver the package. Like that's literally the only reason you're in the truck. Shout out to Jack O'Neill, says, do you watch any of the First Amendment auditors? Sometimes. I don't think I've ever did like a live on one, but sometimes I do react to police body cams because this is risky behavior, and I kind of talk about human behavior. And so sometimes I do like reactions to police body cam, pointing out how sometimes people make situations worse, how people treat each other, interactions with the police and things like that. So I don't know. I'll look into it. Jack O'Neill says it's makeup. Oh, it might be makeup. I don't know, but I was like, man, his forehead is smooth. Nah, Jack O'Neill, you cool, man. You always welcome back. Oh man, shout out to how do I pronounce that? KHXLIA Calixlia. You always welcome back. You always welcome back. Everybody's always welcome back. Shout out to Marcus Banks. If you like the content, support the channel and creator. Subscribe. Appreciate you all. I'm gonna play this and then we'll be out. And this for the latecomers. And yeah.
This morning, we're learning more about a case involving a 3-year-old boy who died Tuesday after he was left in a hot car for hours. Now, this toddler was in the care of a contract employee with Alabama's Department of Human Resources, the state's Child Protective Services agency. CNN's Rafael Romo has more. Rafael?
Victor, the day the 3-year-old boy identified as Katorius Starks was allegedly left strapped inside the car was humid, with temperatures ranging from 93 to 96 degrees during the 5 hours in the afternoon he was left alone. According to our own CNN meteorologists, those temperatures felt like 101 to 105 degrees with heat index values, not only considering the car the boy was in direct sunlight, as the family's attorney claims. According to officials and the family's attorney, a worker employed with a company contracted by the Alabama Department of Human Resources picked up the boy, who went by KJ, from daycare at 9 in the morning on Tuesday for a supervised visit with his father. The visit, they say, ended around 11:30 a.m., but instead of returning the boy to the daycare, the family's attorney says the contract worker made several personal errands with KJ buckled in a car seat in the back of her car. The attorney says the worker finally returned home by 12:30 p.m., parking her car and leaving the 3-year-old boy strapped inside the vehicle with all windows up and the car engine off. It was not until 5 hours later, Victor, around 5:30 in the afternoon, when the worker received a call from the daycare asking why the boy had not been returned, that she apparently realized what had happened. This, according to a timeline the attorney provided. 911 was called and KJ was pronounced dead at 6:03 p.m. This is how the boy's father told CNN affiliate WBTM he will remember his son.
Small, brilliant, bright little child. I'm talking about When I say yeah, respectful. I'm talking I knew how to count, knew his colors, 3 years old. Knew all the animals. I'm talking about he was very intelligent.
Yes, he was, bro. He was real nice and all that.
Like he was just joyful.
Attorney, he told me he spoke with the family about what they're going through right now, and they're understandably having a hard time coping with the loss of their child.
It's just hard to comprehend that you would leave a baby in a hot car and just have no recollection whatsoever that the baby's a 3-year-old child is trapped in your car. He died a brutal death.
CNN also obtained a statement from the Alabama Department of Human Resources. A child in DHR custody, the statement reads, was being transported by a contract provider when the incident occurred. Due to confidentiality, DHR cannot comment further regarding the identity of the child or the exact circumstances. According to Kids and Car Safety, an organization dedicated to raising awareness about the dangers of hot cars for children and pets, this is the first hot car death to occur in Alabama this year and the 16th nationwide. Victor, now back to you.
El Romo reporting for us there. Thank you.
The first car death was done by the people that it should never happen with. And that's insane. Joe Biden, he couldn't open the door because she had the child safety locks on, which is not like something that doesn't happen. That's why I was saying, like, with my wife working for the state, sometimes these kids, they'll open the door and they'll run away and stuff like that. So it wouldn't be common for maybe them to have the child safety lock on to stop from things like that. I can understand that. That's the only reason I could think of that. But you know, right? But that child, I mean, you talking about a 3-year-old waking up. There's no telling. I got a theory. USA says glad my 4-year-old know how to unlock the door and get out by herself, but she'll never have to worry about that because I'll never leave her in my car alone. She had the child safety lock on, so I think he probably did know how to unlock the door, but it wouldn't have did him no good if he's in the back seat. And who's this? If she truly forgot about him, the only way she could have pulled up at her house and forgot about this kid is if he was asleep at the time and wasn't making no noise, and she just didn't think to look back. Right now, as hot as it was, he probably woke up extremely dehydrated. Because I have fallen asleep in the heat before in a car, just sitting around. I was waiting for somebody outside the job. I don't know why. I got in the car, turned my car off, and I woke up hot. It was dehydrating. So you're talking about a 3-year-old waking up dehydrated, hot, probably panicking, getting the seatbelt off, probably doesn't think to go to the front seat, hit the unlock button, and just passes out. So, but we don't know. Shout out to Buffy says, I offer this family prayer in the name of the Most High, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, Heavenly Father. Wrap your arms around this family and hold them close to help ease their pain. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you, Buffy, for that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I think we're gonna end on that note. That was a good one to end on. I thank you all for rocking out with me, being in here, especially talking about something that's important and as sensitive as this. After stories like this, I gotta go relax. I gotta go look at some comedy. I don't know. I gotta go look at something fun. I really, really do. Stories like this is sad. DHR dropped the ball. So, man. Yeah. Shout out to you, USA. Thank you for coming through. Thank you for everybody to come through. There's been so many people today. I can't name everybody. Shout out Marcus, my homie Marcus Banks, USA, Jack O'Neill. Joe Biden came through. We've been looking for Joe Biden. I don't know if this is the real Joe Biden on my YouTube. I doubt it is. Shout out to Buffy. You've been here the whole time. Buffy Buttons, man. Appreciate you. Everything you've contributed. Thank you for being in here. Y'all made it fun being in the comments, talking and discussing this story. Shout out to everybody. Anybody I forgot to well, I'm sure I forgot to name a lot of people because there was so many people in here. And my computer is acting funny. I can't scroll up like I normally do. But yeah, shout out to everybody that's coming through. I'll holler at y'all later. I might hop back on. And I always say, and Mark is probably laughing to himself because I always say that I might hop back on though. I'm pretty sure I will. But I know I gotta record some more videos to upload. So I'm gonna end this and I gotta work on some more content. So yeah. So yeah. Thank you all for coming in. Appreciate you, Buffy. Thank you for the prayer. That was a good note to end it on. And so I'm gonna holler at y'all later.
Risky behavior.